with 7.27. We're going to see all the different changes that happened. A lot of things are going to be very, very different. Again, the heroes are kind of not been touched, but it's mainly about the items, the things about like the creeps. There's going to be a huge number of changes. And this list could be long. I don't know how long it's going to take, to be honest. I haven't read them all the way through. So there's going to be definitely some things that I've not seen yet. And I think that there are actually some items where things have already been broken. We've been seeing that at least online. But let's just kind of go through. Base kills experience. This is a pretty big bonus. They've changed the way the XP is gone with the hero kills. Hero kills last gold a little bit increased as well. So just overall, kills are going to be a little bit more valuable. Assist gold have actually changed quite a lot. 45 to whatever this this amount is. Net worth considering. So things can be very different in that sense. So gold might be a little bit changed, but the baseline, at least earlier, it's going to be affected. Passive gold increased 85 to 95. So you're going to have constant gold kind of running through. I think that this is a friendly change, especially to supports. Anything that gives them more gold, of course, is going to be more important. Bounty runes, also reliable gold. If you don't know what reliable gold is, you better figure that out. I suggest you go online, try to look at the Wikipedia, the Dota one, and kind of understand what passive gold means. Make sure you buy out. This is extremely important. But bounty runes just being reliable gold, I think it makes it a little bit more beneficial, because now when you sacrifice yourself for the bounty rune, it doesn't hurt your team as much, so to speak. So overall, pretty good. Tower last hits, bounties. T1, T2, okay. This is actually pretty sizable, considering it was 180 baseline, right? And so 180 from T1 through T4, it doesn't matter, now being scaled. So 120, you're going to get a lot less gold earlier. So this is an interesting change. Neutral stacking, 35 to 40%. This is, again, pretty big. I think as a support, you want to start stacking more. Like, this is going to be pretty massive. The 35% was pretty nice, and you definitely could feel it when you have like a 3 camp, 4 camp, whatever it is. But 40% is going to actually be quite a lot. So definitely worth it as a support, especially when you're roaming around. Mid lane creep camps change from medium to small. I think that this is good overall, because the mediums, generally speaking, are it's too easy. Going from the mid lane, like you farm the creeps in the lane, and then you go to hit this medium camp, and then just going back and forth. I think that this is actually a welcoming change, because I think that mids can actually get a little out of control. Prowler camp, RIP. Actually, I think that these were the worst ancients in the game. I dislike them. The fact that they stopped you can't attack, and it was just like this awkwardness. Plus, they healed. It'll be interesting seeing how it affects the Chen players, especially with Ags and all that. But I think that this is a welcome change. I don't really like the Prowlers, but RIP to those guys. Low ground tree layout, channeling from below. This was very silly, and to be honest, they should have fixed this a long time ago when Outpost was first there. But you could actually turn the Outpost from the low ground, from that small camp, the pull camp, that is, on both sides. And so you could actually turn it without even going high ground. So very stupid there. So that's a welcome change. Remove tree, not a big deal. Just a little bit more vision for the Radiant side. I'm okay with this. There's going to also be camp from medium to hard camp. Not a big deal. Like, medium to hard camp, it's kind of like one of those things where things have changed around. Like, the placement of the medium camps and the hard camps are all different. But I think in terms of the net worth, I think the number of camps, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't done my checklist of all of the different camps, but I believe that all of the camps are the same, but they've just kind of rejigged things around where things are going to be. So again, more changes, reduce the size, the Radiant start hard camp. Okay, spawn boxes makes it easier to even pull, or to stack, excuse me. Radiant safe lane small camps, box decreased. Okay, so small camps are harder to stack. But the dire one has been reduced. So, okay, that makes sense. I think that this was more of like, Radiant has that small edge. It's easier to pull, it's easier to stack, it's easier to do all that. And so they're trying to balance it out a little bit. Nothing too crazy there. I think that like the overall win rate was like a little bit higher for Radiant. I think that there was like a 52 to maybe even 53% Radiant versus the Dire side. So just kind of little tweaks to just make Dire a little bit more manageable, so to speak. Outposts can no longer be stolen by other teams until they kill one of your T2 towers. Actually, this is actually pretty big, and you'll definitely feel this, because I think the first 10 minutes, everybody just kind of does a mad scramble for the outpost, and seeing as that usually T2s are not taken in the first 10 minutes, this is actually a pretty noticeable change. I think at 20 minutes and so on, I don't think it's going to matter as much, but it gives a little bit more importance to the T2. Which, again, I've always kind of bashed as being the worst towers in the game, because it really doesn't affect it, doesn't give you a whole lot of vision, and they're pretty much just speed bumps along the way. So, interesting that with that. Outpost revealing enemies channeling it. So, here's the weird thing, right? Is that Outpost gave you vision. So when you're channeling it, you see it anyways. So I'm not exactly sure what this change means. Like, it gives you true sight. It gives you, you know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know how to understand how this one works. We'll try to see what that one does later in game. Outpost vision reduced is now shown by holding Alt. Sorry, that's fine. That was kind of weird that actually they didn't have that. All lane creeps now avoid hero aggro until they're near enemy creeps. Oh, range of their tier 1 tower. This is actually pretty big. This is more aligned the creep cutting that you're going to see from Timbersaw, Axes, and all of them. I think that this is actually going to change how things will work until the siege units spawn at 5 minutes. Okay, so the first 5 minutes, you know, when Axes just constantly pulling or cutting the creep wave, this will give you a little bit more time. I think that this is going to be a welcome change. Because sometimes Axes get out of control when they can start pulling your creeps, and then they start stacking it on top, and they just get, you know what I mean? Like, they just expedite them their XP and farm. So, but we'll see if that really matters. The 5 minutes, it's still kind of early. After that, I think that it's going to be more fair in the sense that, you know, both lanes kind of neutralizes, and so you kind of have the Axe will probably just stay in the lane for the first 5 minutes, and then he'll just look to cut creeps again. But I think at this point, supports and the carry or the cores for that lane will be able to just fight back because they'll actually have items. So a welcome change. Courier bounty reduced 5 a level, so less over time. Just overall nerf for killing creeps. Flying upgrade a little bit faster, 5 to 4. This is actually going to help mainly with the supports. Cores not so much, because it really doesn't matter. They're going to get fast anyways in terms of their levels and all that, so not that big of a deal. Interesting. Movement speed is reduced by 15% while carrying consumables. Okay, so this is the first 10 minutes of the game when creeps or when cores are looking to spam out. I'm talking mids, I'm talking carries, that, you know, the healing salves, clarities, all that stuff to keep them in the lane. Just slowing it down, making it a little bit more susceptible to, you know, ganking, you know, bounties that are looking around to snipe couriers and whatnot. So just an interesting, it might change a little bit of the dynamic, because it's going to be, they're already slow for the first, you know, 4 or 5 levels, right, for the couriers. So definitely something they need to manage. I think you're going to have to micro that a little bit better. Armor formula, this is just an overall buff. Everybody just gets a baseline of a 1. So that will kind of help things out, make heroes a little bit tankier. Armor per agility from 16, okay, this is negligible, to 1/6 to 16, okay. If you don't know the difference between those two, then I suggest you get a calculator. But there's some repeating numbers involved. Tower attack speed increased, so that's more shots coming through. But overall damage has been nerfed. Okay, so that's just to kind of balance it out. Nothing too crazy. I think the tier 1s where they do need to fire more, if that makes any sense. Killing creeps and stuff. The tier 1s are kind of important, so okay. We'll see how that one actually plays out, though. Tier 2's attack rate is increased as well. Base attack speed, okay. Tower 2 damage reduced. This seems same overall DPS, okay. Alright. I think DPS-wise, they're going to be the same? Okay. But tier 2, obviously doing a little bit more. Siege health units increased by 60. Okay, so it's another tower shot or so. So if you can protect the siege creep, I think that this is actually, I mean, just making it tankier obviously definitely helps. So, okay. All pick drafting has been reworked, going from 1-1-1-1-1 to 2-2-2-1. Okay, this just speeds it up, and I think it's a problem more with pubs. You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, the support's supposed to pick first, but now the 4 and 5 pick first. because that's usually how it works, right? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just that's usually the order, but now it's going to be 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2 in the second phase, and then obviously the mid is usually the last one. Teams that are not as coordinated, they're going to feel this because they're going to be like, oh, I'm just going to assume somebody else will pick. Unranked, this might be a problem where there's no order. Okay. All pick hero bands increase from 10 to 12. I like the 10. I don't know why the 12 is there, but maybe there's some extra heroes that they just want to kind of throw into there. Not the biggest of deals. I'm okay with more bans, to be honest. I think that it's because I pick, I ban and then somebody else bans, and so kind of having the potential to ban other heroes as well. So that'll be interesting. I'll pick first 2 heroes now. I have 5 extra seconds. 5 seconds is really negligible. I don't think that's... I mean, I don't want to waste time, but at the same time, as usually I'm support, I'm scrambling to kind of pick the right, synergistic hero, so to speak. So I wish they gave a little bit more time, especially the first 2 rounds. Captain's ban mode changed from 4-1-1 for the 3 bans to 2-3-2. Okay, Captain's mode, obviously this is going to affect the pro scene. The first 4 bans going from that to 2. So you're going to see more of the meta heroes, the overpowered ones, get through because they're not going to be banned. That's actually interesting, the 2-3-2. Because the second phase and the third phase of banning, I think that those are really... Nobody really cared. Like you saw the team and the way that they were being built, and then you could kind of get that, that Broodmother, that Meepo, that last pick, that niche pick, right? But if you're going to go with a 2-3-2, this ends up kind of averaging it out a little bit. So that's actually... It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the pro scene, because I feel like 4 is just enough to kind of get the overpower heroes in that first phase. Some are definitely going to get through, which means we're going to see a more diverse meta. You're not going to see the same picks, the same bans. So, yeah, that's going to make the pro scene a little bit more dynamic. I'm cool with that. Duration per pick and being ban reduced, that's fine. 35 to 30 seconds, make it faster. You have less to do anyways. So, okay. First pick phase is changed from Radiant Dire Radiant to Radiant Dire. Okay. This changes things up a little bit, right? Because the original one, where it's first pick, you get 1 pick, and then the second team gets to pick the second and the third. I felt like those teams end up getting a little bit better synergy, right? With Dire, like you could do, you can combo things better. So in my opinion, second pick ended up being a little bit more advantageous because you get to see exactly what they're picking first. I mean, yeah, you might not get that meta hero, but you can counter it with 2 consecutive picks as well. And then you also got last pick, which was massive, right? So seeing as you still have last pick, but now it's kind of 1-2-1-2 in terms of the picks, Radiant Dire. I think that a little bit of the advantage of going first isn't as high as it once was. So again, this is just going to affect more of the pro scene, so not too much to worry about if you're just like the average day pub. But cool. Third ban phase is changed from Dire Radiant, which is second. Dire Radiant to Radiant Dire. Okay. So here's the thing, right? It previously went Dire Radiant, right? Which is Dire is second. They had to ban first. Then Radiant had to ban, but then they had to pick theirs right after that. So they had a little bit of an advantage. Because they could see what you're going to ban. They could ban something and then pick right after that. If you're going to do Radiant Dire, so 1-2-1-2, and then Radiant would have to pick, they have a little bit less of an advantage. So a little bit overall just balancing out in terms of the draft phase. And to be honest, I'm spending a lot of time on the draft because I find like you could actually win games based off of your draft. If your draft is good enough. So finding the little edges, and it's more than just Dota and coaching and all that stuff, but this can really affect how things work. But that is actually interesting in how they want to do that. Okay, Fountain now has Fury swipes. So if you don't know Ursa, basically the damage will stack. So it's super fast. I don't know the attack speed, but it's very, very fast. So adding that 3, the Fountain has been buffed to like almost invincibility. So basically, when you have people that are fountain diving and they're just like, they have hearts and they're just unkillable, like the bristlebacks and all that stuff, now they have potential to die, right? So it doesn't really affect the game overall because you're generally speaking not in the fountain until you're literally just crushing the game. But at least they'll respect it so that there's not, fountain diving and just farming of, kills or whatever. So that was just silly. So this is a welcome change. Neutral items nearby enemy range drop restriction increased from 900 to 1200. Hang on. Neutral items nearby enemy range drop restriction increased. Okay, so just buffing that a little bit. Will no longer drop if the nearby real and hero source is teleporting. Okay, so this is more for like Meepos if they're just kind of farming it, or with like a radiance as you TP on out. Neutral items no longer drop from Meeple clones. Okay, so they're just solving it with this alone. So this is a clear a nerf, to Meepo. So that's actually interesting. Lifesteal amplification now stacks diminishingly rather than additively. Okay. Interesting. So instead of like the lifesteal and the HP that's just constantly being buffed, just they're stacking it. I'm talking like your IOs, what is it? The Satanic and all of that with all of the other items with like Locket and all that stuff. That's actually going to be affected. Interesting. I think that some of the heroes are really going to feel this. I think that obviously IOs come straight to mind on this one. I think the heal, the HP regen, all of these things definitely affect it. I wasn't seeing too many IOs in my pubs recently, so this is going to be something to kind of look out for the other ones. Obviously, lifesteal is kind of massive, at least in the past meta, so we'll see how this one changes things. Spell lifesteal amplification also stacks diminishingly rather than... Okay, so lifesteal as well. Necronomicon, we saw a lot of Lycan. We saw a ton of... who else? Beastmaster as well. They were kind of prioritizing this. I think Lycan was just out of control. So this actually nerfing this item straight up. And again, just no Archer Aura. Less damage. Changing from piercing to hero. I'm not going to go into too much details about that. But understand that this does affect how the damage output happens. I'll let you kind of play around with some of those things. Mana regen, obviously overall nerf. So it's not as good earlier, right? So I think that this is just a better thing overall. Okay, that's a good ban. Nerf, Helm of the Dominator, another issue with Lycan in that, and the Beastmaster as well. No longer provides damage and regen aura. Ooh, okay. It buffs the creep quite a lot, and then the cooldown is reduced as well, so you can steal more creeps. Okay. Change of items. That's fine. Passive bonuses are now +6 armor, +6 regen, and +6 all stats. Okay, this is interesting because, spoiler alert, a lot of the items have been getting rid of the all stats. So, getting rid of that, and then giving it also the other bonuses. So it gets rid of the auras, which doesn't really help your team as much. It was actually silly that they gave this one aura previously when Helm of the Dominator was there. But it's now more of a single item, single use, or self-use item. Okay? Alright. I'm okay with this, considering I thought that was way too strong, especially that earlier was only 2100 gold. I don't think that has changed. But that aura was pretty massive. Vlad's now acquiring Blades of Death. Okay, total cost from 23. Okay, so a little bit of a... it's more expensive, doesn't have the aura, doesn't have the +5 all stats. Still has a lifesteal. Oh, but even that got reduced. But it now provides the 18% damage aura. Whoa. I think it's more of a support item now, right? Because the stats it doesn't really matter for the support. The aura, yes, it goes away, but it's +3 armor. But I think that this actually might be pretty massive for supports, like the auras, like the Venges, the any support actually. +18 damage, like the Luna support, I think could be legit now, because you're not really looking for, you're looking to buff your team. But this lifesteal aura from 20 to 15% is actually, that seems pretty high. Okay. Mana regen increased from +1.5 to 2. So again, more supportish item. I think you'll see more 4s running Vlads. And it's not going to be more of like a core offlane type item anymore. Okay. So drums, okay. No longer provides a speed aura. Now provides +6 attributes, so more selfish. 1+5 mana regen and 20 speed bonus. So it doesn't. Interesting. So it's more solo. You know, it helps just myself, which is weird because I don't know if you played Warcraft 3, but the drums is all about the aura. So this is a change in the lore, change in that item. Attack speed bonus increase. It helps the yourself, but nobody else. And of course, attack movement speed as well. Active movement speed increased. Okay, so 12 to 13%. Okay. Let me see this. Hang on. To nearby allies. So it still does the. Okay, so it still does the active, which is fine, but it doesn't have the passive, which could have been huge. But it's so cheap now. 1475. That seems way different than I remember. Way cheaper than I remember. But I think that okay. All right. Buckler armor reduced, aura reduced from 2.5 to 2. I think that this was actually too strong in the laning phase. So just a little bit of a tweak there. Mechanism now requires buckler instead of chainmail. Total cost remains the same, but now provides the armor aura. So this is the new armor aura item. Self armor reduced from +6 to 0.4. That's fine, but net worth wise, you get +7. I'm assuming. Hang on, let me just make sure. So +4, and then the passive. So yeah, overall net worth, you net wise, you gain more armor. So that's good, but no +4 stats. Oh wow. Okay, so again, more support-ish. It's definitely being pushed in. I think that this really affects like the Shadow Fiends, the Vipers. Those are, you know, they needed the stats and they got the heal to just kind of create this like sustaining, self-sustaining hero that would just constantly push. So it's definitely become more of a support item. Greaves looks like it's gotten, no, it's the same cost. Still ridiculously high. Now provides +3 armor. Okay, that's fine. No +5 overall stats, and the self armor reduced. Okay, same thing with mech. Obviously, just keeping it in line. Not going to go too much into detail with that. The Crimson Armor, the Crimson Guard, cooldown reduced, 46 to 40. So you'll see more of this being popped. And then it doesn't provide the +3 armor. So it gives you the health. So I still feel like core-wise it's okay, but you're going to do less overall in terms of damage. Because obviously the plus overall stats is pretty big. But I'm thinking that they're trying to push these items into more support-ish, you know, like a 4 or 5. Because obviously your cores, even your off lane, you definitely want to be doing some sort of damage. You still want to be tankier, and even losing that self, you know, the +3 stat, yeah, strength or whatever it is, it still does help in the end. So it's interesting how they're trying to tweak out some of these items. Okay, the Blade Mill. 500 gold recipe instead of using the Robe of Magi. Okay. No longer grants intelligence, which was silly. Armor bonus increased. Okay. Now is a passive component that returns 20 plus 20% of the attack damage. What? Active return. Okay, so 80 to 800 to 80%. Okay. This seems silly, and I think that this is actually a pretty big buff. Reason being is that passive, the 20 damage, anything that's attacking you quickly, Blade Mail, like Windrunner, you know what I mean? They got focus fire on you. She's just going to kill herself. And she can't actually stop that. Wow. And also, I've actually seen a clip where an axe was running around with 5 Blade Mails, and it was stacking. So if there's any item that's going to get you that bonus and that free MMR, all right, let's test this one out later. I think that this is the new hotness, or the new item to break. Because that passive is pretty massive, especially 20 plus 20%. And if it's stacking, yes. Actually, the other ones didn't really affect that. So yeah, this is going to get nerfed very, very quickly. So get your free MMR with this item as quickly as possible. Blitz Knuckles. What the hell? Okay, it looks like Elder Titan staple gun in a way. Or a pull-up bar. But a new basic item costs 1,000 gold and provide 35 attack speed. Okay, I'm sure that. Okay, provides okay. This one, Monkey MKB, provides or now requires the Blitz Knuckles. Okay, so it makes more sense because it's a quarterstaff. I think that they're trying to stay away from like, hey, this is mainly like what attack damage, and this is you're not going to see a whole lot of intel that's being required on the hero. So that build up was just unnatural, so to speak. Damage reduced 52 to 42. Wow, that seems actually high. Plus 10, less, but attack speed is increased. Ooh. Okay, so I'm wondering if the attack speed, like, what comes to mind is like a slaughter? Just being able to attack more, getting more bashes. That definitely seems way higher. Way more beneficial, I would say. Okay, Oblivion Staff. This is definitely more with intel. Bonus damage increased, so that's a buff. And they haven't changed the cost of that. So that seems kind of high. Orchid. Mana regen reduced. Okay, 5.5 to 4. That's actually pretty high. Intelligence reduced as well, 25 to 20. Also, overall nerf. But the cost did as well. By 400 gold. Okay. So they kind of balanced that out. So I guess with this, I mean, 5.5 to 4, that seems like a big jump. That seems higher to me than the 25 to 20 overall. So an overall nerf to that item. I mean, it still has the silence and everything. But I don't think you're going to see this one item being used on like a Quap and just kind of infinite mana. So I think they're trying to change that. Shadow Amulet, 1400 to 1000. Okay. Makes it easier for supports to get. Glimmer. Oh, no it doesn't. Because they've added Gloves of Haste. Okay, spoiler alert. Into the next item. Okay, but it doesn't provide attack speed. All it does is give you invis. Okay, so it's actually an active that you have to deal with. You can still target it on people, so... And it has a fade time, so nothing too different. I mean, it's 1,000 gold, right? Which could help you. I think that this is an overall... like a buff for supports. Reason being is that the Shadow Amulet is there to... Like, you can get it faster. And the times that you can kind of just fade out can potentially save you, so you'll get it earlier. So overall, I'm okay with that as a support player. But how does it affect Shadow Blade? Still 3,000 gold. Okay, so that costs... I'm not sure of the exact amounts, because I think that there was a recipe involved. I'm not sure the exact... If 3,000 was it. But adding Blitz Knuckles to that changes things, because obviously it's a lot easier for them to get as well, and Shadow Blade kind of sucks if you're a support and the other team core gets it and they start busting you up kind of thing. Attack speed increased, damage reduced though. Okay, so they're trying to nerf a lot of the damage, overall damage, but they've been buffing a lot of the attack speed. Okay. I think that's the overall theme. Slow is now only applied by real heroes. Great. Obviously, this affects a lot of the illusion carries, the CKs and whatnot. Just having that slow was pretty massive if you had a lot of illusions, because they would all just trigger it. Okay, Echo Saber instead. Now requires Echo Saber instead of Ultimate Orb. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Provides 40 damage. Regen, keep it from the other components. Sorry, I'm trying to see how it changed. Okay, but just now provides damage. All right, that's fine. So they just went flat out. All right. All of these starting ones where people were spamming, they get 3 Wraithband, 3 Null Talismans, whatever, the Bracers, just in lane, 633 to 522. So this is an overall nerf to all 3 of these. No longer grants the 4% magic resistance, which is pretty huge for the Bracers, because a lot of the supports would just, myself included, we would get this just for the buff of the amount of health that it provided and this magic resistance, which was pretty huge. But it provides 3 damage and 75. Okay, so a little bit more health regen. I don't like that, actually. I preferred the magic resistance, but that's me as a support. Wraithbands and Null Talismans, again, not really a core player, so those don't really affect me as much. The Bracer one does more, but that health regen actually will change things a little bit. That seems kind of high, 0.75, especially if I'm starting to spam that. Okay. Ring of Regen, overall health regen reduced. So that's a nerf, but as did the cost. Okay, so it's kind of in line. So you got to look at cost versus the actual output of what the stats that it gives you, right? So that could be kind of something that you need to look out to. Again, I haven't done the math. I don't have the time for that. But basically, you kind of see the cost per, cost to benefit ratio is not as high. And I think you're seeing that across all of the main starting items that you're going to see. So we'll just kind of skip those across. Increased. These are just nerfs overall because they're more expensive and they haven't done anything in terms of the stats. So there's actually no plus anymore. Everything is just straight up auras. Again, it was because these used to be too strong in lane. They would have, starting stats plus the auras, and they were just way too strong in lane. So I'm okay with this. Just make the laning a little bit more dynamic by keeping things more baseline. So it really isn't as item dependent, especially when you're starting out laning. Okay, Aura Urn has actually been nerfed by the recipe's cost. Pipe of Insight, small nerf. This recipe was ridiculous. 1200 seems very high for a piece of paper, and now you're making it higher. But I mean, 1200 to 1250, not that much, but overall nerf. Unbroken speed 75 to 70, kind of small. Broken speed reduced from 50. Okay, so overall nerf to Tranquils. This was kind of the go-to for supports and roamers. So that's definitely something to look out for. Whoa. Kaya, Yashakaya, Kaya Toast, and Sanj, Bloodstone. Okay. Now provides plus 12 mana loss reduction. No longer provides. Oh. So your spells definitely cost the same, but it provides plus 30 mana regen amplification. Mana regen amplification. So based on your current stats and your items. So this is something that you need to kind of synergize. Interesting. Okay. Wait, why would they break this up? Come on, Ice Frog. Get your shit together. What is this? Spell amp increased from 14 to 16. What? Wait, what? What is going on? Why are they doing this? Why? Yasha and Kaya. Like, can we not group these together? Like, how does this... Okay, anyways, let's kind of go through. All right. Spell amp increased. 14 to 16. Buff. So the mana regen piece has been affected. They need to synergize now with items. Yasha and Kaya, spell amp has been increased. Okay, 14 to 16. Not massive, but... Now provides plus 20 for spell lifesteal. What? Oh. Okay. So this is why they made that original nerf, right? Because you had the spell lifesteal. The amplification was all there. Spell amp and the amplification. Holy crap, those things stack. K and Sanja. Interesting. So that if you just get all of these different items, you don't just get out of control with spell lifesteal. But 24% spell lifesteal seems really huge. Hang on, what am I missing here? Spell lifesteal amplification. Spell amp. Nani? Provides 30% spell lifesteal. Okay. Storm? Leshrac? Quap? Puck? This could be huge. Because the amount of cooldowns that you have, maybe with like a Octarine. Hang on, did they change this? No. So Octarine, and then with like, Y and K, Yasha and Kaya, depending on what hero you are, you could just get infinite spell castings and then just the spell regen, the lifesteal. That's crazy. Okay. Something to look into. Cool. So I feel like a lot of the magic, the casters have really been buffed. Maybe like the Lenas, the Quaps, Pucks. Storm is definitely in play. Late game is definitely going to be scary. Okay, that's going to change things up. Cooldown reduced from 250 to 85. That's a massive buff. Hang on, what is this? Cooldown converts 30%. Okay, so that heal that you had, they didn't change anything about it, but it's the same. So Bloodstone, this is a pretty big buff. Max mana to health regen over 2 seconds. So really good again with magic casters. So inherently, this has buffed all of the casters that you're going to see. I think that they might be kind of out of control, to be honest. Voodoo Mask. What the hell? New base item. Plus 12 lifesteal. Spell lifesteal. 2.5 against. It costs 900 gold. I feel like Witch Doctor should get it just on principle, because it looks cool. But Voodoo Mask here, and then Octarine. Okay, so now it provides that. Total cost reduced. Okay, but no bonus intelligence. Okay. I mean, I feel like Octarine Core was mainly about this passive, the cooldown reduction of the 25%. So having the intel might not really matter when you have mana. I mean, it does obviously less damage, and your mana pool is definitely less. But it changes because you have the cooldown reduction and the spell lifesteal. And if you're stacking it, yes, it's diminishing with the other items like the Kaya. I think that this could actually be a pretty sizable buff for them. Okay. I have to reduce from +9 to +4. That makes it overall. This is a pretty big nerf. Recipe cost reduced as well, so it's way cheaper. 1525. That seems really cheap. Cooldown increased from 20 to 25. Spell amp reduced from 20 to 18. Okay, so overall been nerfed. Yes, it's cheaper and easier to get to. But I think that you might see this on like a caster support. Like it could really kind of help out. You just kind of buff your team's damage, just overall. I could see it being used because it's way cheaper and way more accessible, which is a nice item. And I think that that's a welcome change. So, can now target allied units with the magic stick active? Nani? Target an allied unit to instantly restore 15 health per charge store. What? Wait, what? Whoa. So this is like a stick. You get your charges, and then you target it on somebody? Okay. So they made it more, an active, which is definitely more interesting for supports and heals, because this thing was like it was a crap item. It was like a passive item that gave you some heals. Not ideal, but this is actually interesting. Being able to gain charges, and then you can burn those charges on somebody else. Cool. Soul Ring. Same total cost. Different build-up. +6 strength and 2 armor. No longer provides the HP regen. Okay. 6 strength and 2 armor. Okay, so like you see like the specters and lanes and stuff like that, and like the Timbersaw, giving him more strength and armor. I don't know how I feel about that. But the health regen has gone down. 2.25 was pretty massive, especially for what? 815 gold. So that's going to be interesting overall, because like you would see some supports like an Earthshaker who would buy this, and they would just kind of help them. It would sustain because the amount of regen that they had. Okay, 815. Hyperstone, just overall buff, same cost. AC speed buff, attack speed bonus 25 to 30. No longer provides. Still an arm and a leg, but getting rid of the +5 all stats. That seems like a massive one. Okay, something that we'll look into. See how that changes the game. Attack speed increased from an 85 to 90. Just buff. Claymore into the Mithril. So this is what Battle Fury used to be. Damage reduction. That's fine. Actually, this is cheaper, isn't it? Because Claymore is cheaper than the Mithril. So a little bit of a nerf in that sense. Mana regen has also been reduced as well. So Broadsword 16 to 15 nerf. Crystallis damage reduced from. So it's weird how they space these things out. Like I don't know why that there's like some things make sense, like these two, when they're kind of like connected, but then there's some items that are not really. So the cloak here has been cheaper. Good. Easier to get to the Glimmer, I would think. So overall, that's easier to get to. Hooded Defiance increased 230. Okay, total cost remains the same. Okay, because the build up the hood. Yeah, that's right. So the 100 to 100. Okay, so that's why they're together. Now has a 500 gold. That seems more expensive for the Satanic, which was very high. But that lifesteal, man, that 200% for 5 seconds, that could be super scary. Cooldown reduced. Okay, so Treant, your new best friend, has gotten easier to use. Stun duration reduced as well. Negligible, I think. Provides all stats, though. Whoa. Whoa. Plus 6.5 health regen and plus 2.5. This seems way better. That's an overall... excuse me, an overall buff. That's actually quite good. The Meme Hammer, is it legit now? Alright, no longer has a heal reduction aura. Interesting. So your Timbers got buffed through this. Bristleback as well. And the Alchemist for sure, because that aura was just there. Soul Regen increased from 30 to 40. Okay. That buffs it. DPS increased, so it does more damage. But the problem with Spirit Vessel and Urn is just it's about the charges, right? And not having that charge on standby. Okay. Overall, I think that's an overall nerf, I would say. HP regen reduction. Okay. Freezing aura now increases. Oh, this is where they've changed it. The heal reduction in the aura. In the area. Interesting. So they've changed some of the passives around. Shiva is trying to make it a little bit more playable. It was definitely not as high. But if you have this and then the Arctic Blast of just slowing everybody's movement down, this could actually do a lot more, especially with the heals. And you're going to definitely need this going into like Bristles and Aura. And like the Timber Saws and all that. That's fine. But interesting with the buff, by the way. Now provides stats. Please don't buff the Dagon. I hate when people get this thing in to begin with, but now Belt of okay, 1300 recipe. That's pretty massive. Normal, nor health regen. Oh, this is a pretty big nerf. No longer provides plus 10 health regen. Now passively provides 1% health regen. Okay, so that's kind of the same. Increases all health. Passive health regen by 50%, which is pretty massive. Disable for 5 here. Seconds. Okay. But passively, the 1% health regen. Passively. Okay. That seems kind of interesting. Provides plus 50 health regen amplification. Alright, I don't remember what the old one was, so it's hard for me to compare, but this seems plus 10 health regen. They've changed it to the 1%. So overall, it will be better. I'm looking at like an IO Spectre on that site, because generally speaking, you have more than 1,000 life, right? So if you've got the 1%, you know what I mean? If you're at 2,000, 3,000 life, obviously you're getting way more. So overall, I would say that this is actually a buff. Okay. Scotty, heal reduction increased. There's going to be a lot more regen, a lot more spell lifesteal. So these items are going to start being very, very good. We need to start prioritizing that. Health of Scotty, Quelling Blade. Okay. That's fine. Linked Sphere, reduction, reduced. Easier to get. Cast range reduced. Okay, I'm okay with this. Anything that nerfs Abyssal, I'm fine. Evasion reduced. Heaven's Halberd. Okay, that's a nerf. Dragonlance increased buff. Anamitis. XP multiplier increased. What? Why would they buff this? Same cost. Anamitis is now back in action, man. 185 to 210, that'll definitely speed things up. Obviously, the gold is going to be the same, but the XP is the big part of that. I might try that out later. Refresher Orb, 195, 180. His cooldown is way less. That's a buff. Ultimate Orb got cheaper, better. Infused Mana got nerfed. Nullifier projectile speed increased from 750 to 1000, sorry. That's a buff. Aghanims, way easier to get. Baseline, 4400 to 4200. Buff, obviously. Cheaper to get. Better. Reduce the cooldown from 40 to 30. Okay. I feel like this is a win more item, but okay. Smoke cost reduced from 80 to 50. Okay, that's good. I think I'm okay with this. Anything that nerfs or makes it cheaper, replenish cooldown, reduced from 90 to 85, so we'll see more of them. Good. Cost reduced. Oh wow, 150 to 75. Way cheaper. That's way better. Miscellaneous to equipment with the other attack speed items. Okay. All right, now neutral items. Pickup range for mangoes changed from default to 150. So it's easier. You don't have to be right next to them. You don't literally have to be picking the tree to now get them. So that's good. Has a mini-map icon. I don't really like that. I think it was kind of cool. Like if you see it, you see it, and then you can kind of get it. If another consumable item is dropped in the same tier. Okay, so you don't see other ones that like... What was the other one? Like the royal jelly. Like you won't see these two together. That's fine. Iron talent, active damage reduced, so it's a little bit of a nerf. Broom handle, also a little bit of a nerf. It was a pretty good tier 1 item, so I get it. Movement speed, nerf. Armor reduction, nerf. The next tier, 250. Night vision increased. Okay. A little bit of a buff. Damage reduction. Okay, so it makes it more playable. I just hope cores still don't take this. It's a Harry Potter item, right? What is Harry Potter? Harry Potter's a support. Essence ring. Cooldown increased, so a bit of a nerf there. Clumsy net. Cast range. A little bit of a nerf there. The stats have also gone down as well. But it was kind of strong. That stun with what? 1.75? Especially on top of your other skills, so that seems kind of high. It was very good. So good nerf there. Greater Fair Fire. Same tier. Okay, so this is the... You won't see a repair kit and a Greater Fairy Fire next to each other. Damage, but overall damage has been increased, which is good considering everything else has been decreasing in terms of damage, but the attack speeds have been increasing. So overall, I think that helps the meta. 60-second cooldown. Okay, good. Health regen increased from 20 to 25. I don't know if that people are going to use this though, but that health regen stacking with the other ones, yes, it's diminishing, could actually be better. But I think that the just spamming it on all of the buildings is pretty massive. The 60-second cooldown is going to be there. I think you'll see more of it. I mean, they put it in the backpack anyways, or in the supply. So, but now they just need to manage it. So good change. Cooldown increased. Good. This item was too strong. It's too quick. People would always get away. Plus 400 range for Tempest double. Okay. Tempest double. Okay. Arc Wardens. Okay. Cooldown reduced. Okay. Overall buff. Orbit reduction. This was actually a strong item. Obviously, they're going to slow that down. It's not as good. The slow is actually increased for armor. Okay. Net, I think that that's okay. Anything that increases the slows, I'm cool with. Mindbreaker, oh, even better. 20 to 15 seconds is pretty massive. Losing 5 seconds on that, I thought the Mindbreaker was very good as is. But okay, base damage increased, buff. This item got way better. I think it's the best tier 3 item, especially for cores. Damage increased, lifesteal reduced, which is fine. Greater healing amplification, okay. So a little bit of nerf in the lifesteal department, but overall damage, which is good. Cooldown, this is a good item as well. I like it. 12 to 10, also helpful. You'll probably see it a couple times in a fight, depending on how long the team fight is. Maximum 200 range. This is good. I felt like this was way too high. Okay, overall, I'm okay with that change. Incoming damage increased, so the illusion is not as strong. Also good. Havoc Hammer increased. Ooh, this has been buffed. Base damage increased. Overall, better. Okay, and the heal. Magic Lamp, to be honest, even though they keep trying to buff this guy, try to make it relevant, but I think that this is another small attempt, 300 to 400, because you get it at tier 4. right? So 40 minutes is 100 heal that much higher. I mean, yeah, you have the other items, but even those have been nerfed. So I don't think that this is enough to make this item useful. I think it needs some stats or some sort of damage, because there's no reason I would use this even over, you know, like the Havoc Hammer or the Illusionist Cape, where I'm getting stats and an ability. And the ability is way higher. No longer steal. What? Always find a bounty rune. No longer steals gold on kills. So it's not like a bounty hunter anymore. But you always found bounty runes. Tier 5. Come on, guys. I don't think that this is really that relevant. That's kind of a... it's still not going to be good. I don't think people will use this. I mean, you'll have it in the backpack just to kind of switch through and just kind of constantly getting those bounty runes. But, like, yo, 50, 60 minutes. That's, like, I don't even think this is going to be relevant. Like, that bounty rune is, like, not that high. All right, so that's a quick breakdown of 7.27. My name is Holler. Please find me at Holler TV on all social medias. I love to talk about Dota. Feel free to just reach out to me, and we'll just continue to talk. Let me know if you've found any items or things that just break the meta. I'm always interested about those kinds of things. And all the best. Thank you so much for tuning in.